My name is William McClain. I'm the new music director and conductor of the MDSO, Millikin Decatur Symphony Orchestra. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I was raised by two loving parents. It's an interesting story because both of them were in the civilian military. It was very well-disciplined household, right? I grew up in a Baptist church, and I even remember as a young person just really loving the choir. Even then, I was learning about, how a composer or a writer might put together different styles, different nuances and feelings and emotions to get across a message. African Americans are underrepresented in the world of classical music. Growing up in a big city, metropolitan area, it was definitely a little bit of an anomaly to see people who look like me on the TV playing violin or conducting orchestras. I also grew up learning music in public school, and I'm so glad that I was able to have music in the public school because it got me my start in music. Believe it or not, I was actually playing trumpet and marching out in the bands before I even picked up a string instrument. But eventually, I started playing the viola, which is my main instrument. Many will ask about, how a conductor gets started, and my mentor was the one who encouraged me to continue in performance, to be the best player that I could be. Finding that emotion, finding that story behind the music, if you can somehow reflect that, even when you're working hard and fixing notes and, faster or too fast, just that level of rediscovery and energy into the music, I think is what I really gained from my first conductor / mentor. And it was after that I said, this is what I want to do. There's a connection and a confidence that I bring to the podium because I've been down there with the violas. I know what it feels like when a rehearsal goes really well. I know what it feels like when things are kind of tense and we're not sure and how can we fix this. A lot of people will comment, I have very long arms. And so this really gives me an opportunity to just, allow the audience to be in on it. If you watch the great conductors, no matter if you could see their face or you're watching from the back, you could really feel and see the energy in the music. I consider myself very, very blessed, very fortunate to be the new director of the MDSO at a relatively, I would say, middle part of my career. The MDSO is a great example of performance learning because it is an orchestra that is composed of professional players, faculty who are also professionals, and the students. Even as this pandemic continues on, I'm holding on to these really positive lessons, particularly when it comes to live streaming and shorter videos and using social media. I mean, these are things that we've always been aware of, but I don't think we could have ever imagined that we would use them to this degree. And it's really all for that moment when you're standing on the podium, when the musicians are gathered to work with each other. I like to remind the musicians without actually saying it, like how joyful this music is, or how passionate the music is. It might not always be joyful. It might be really intense. I pay a lot of attention to detail, and I expect that, from the orchestra that, not to ever let a minute or two go by where you're not specifically conveying something. It's a lot of work, and I like to say if you're slightly exhausted at the end of rehearsal, then you probably did it right.